Hi all, today we will talk about IAM in Google Cloud. So IAM basically identity and access management, by which we manage access control by defining like who has what access and on which resource. So who is the identity? An identity can be a Google account, service account, Google group, Google Apps domain, and has what access? It can be a role, and role has permission inside it, like which role owner, viewer, editor, compute instance, admin, and on which resource, like for which resource can be like you can give a on a specific resource like projects, or you want resource like compute engine, app engine, or your folders or your organization. So like these all are the resource like compute engine, virtual machine instance, GKE, cloud storage, are all these are Google Cloud resources. And even the organization folder projects that we use to like organize our resources are also resources. And in IAM, we cannot like assign a permission directly to a user. Instead, we group all the permission into roles like this, and then we assign roles to the principals. Like principal are these. So first of all, if you want to assign a specific permission, first of all, we have to check which role support that permission, and after that, we get to know that like for creating a compute instance, this we need to like for creating a compute instance admin have all the permissions for that. So we will assign this specific role to the user. Instead of permission, we will always assign roles. And allow policy, also known as IAM policy, and it defines and enforces like what roles are granted to what principals. So whenever you want to assign some roles, we basically we create a IAM policy, and in which we have all the roles defined, and it will define like on which principal this role will be attached. So IAM role binding has three important parts. First of all, principal, which we have talked about, like this is the principal. We can say identity also. So it can be like a Google account, like for your end user service account, a Google group, a Google workspace account, or Google Cloud identity domain that can access a resource. And each principal has its own identifier, that is an email address. So we must have an email address to sign a role to it. After that, we have the second option, but that is called role. So role is a collection of permissions. So permission like determine what access, like what operations are allowed on a specific resource. So when we grant a role to a permission to a principal, we will grant all the permission that roles contains. Like if compute instance admin contain multi like 100 permissions, so all that permissions will be assigned to that specific principal when we grant a role. And this policy, this is allow policy, is a collection of role binding. So that bind one or more principal to individual roles. So suppose this is our allow policy, and we have two principal. One is Google account, and second is service account. So this can be a user or exacted example.com. This is our service account. So these both, and we are assigning role this app engine admin role. So both this is a role binding. So in which we are attaching this specific role to our two principals, and this is the role binding, and this will be called a allow policy, or we can say IAM policy. In IAM, we can grant access to principals, and principals can be of following type. First of all, Google account. So any email address that is associated with an Google account can be an identity. So it can be like gmail.com also, or any other domains which you are using. After that, service account. So basically it is for an application or compute workload instead of like individual end user, but still we can attach our service account to a user also. That are different thing. After that, we have Google group. A Google group is a like a named collection of Google accounts and service accounts, and basically we can create a group and we can attach multiple users or service account in a Google group, and we can assign a permission to Google group directly, and that permission will automatically apply to all the members of that group. After that, we have Google Workspace account. So this can be associated with your organization internet domain, like such as example.com or whatever your organization name. And cloud identity domain, it is also a Google Workspace account only. We have all authenticate users. So it is a special identifier that represents all service accounts and all users on the internet who can authenticate with a Google account. So if you can log in into a Google account, then only this will work. And after that, we have all users. It is also a special identifier, and that represents anyone on the internet who is authenticated or not authenticated can like access this. So basically we cannot assign these two permission on the project level, but this is can be assigned on a like a specific service level, or like on that if you want to assign some under the project or like bucket level or objects level. We will see how both we can use, how we can check this permission, and we will see in my demo. After that, what are permissions? A permission like determine what operations are allowed on a resource. So permissions are presented in like this service, resource, and work. So first of all, what service we want to assign, like this is a PubSub is a service provided by Google, and what resource on in PubSub we want to assign subscription service, and verb in subscription what he can do only consume. So like this, there are multiple permissions which are created like this service, resource, verb, and as we know, we cannot directly assign permission to users directly, but instead we identify roles that contain that appreciate permission, and then we grant roles to the user. And now let's see what are the roles and how what are the basic roles provided by Google. A role is a collection of permissions, and we cannot grant a permission to direct to your user directly. Instead, we grant a role. So whenever we grant a role to a user, all the permissions that role contains are granted to him. So basically, Google provide three kind of roles. So these are basic roles like these are owner, editor, and viewer. So owner is like very broad permission. So basically, we don't have to don't use these basic roles in your production environment until it requires. So owner means he can do anything. Editor is also very broad permissions, and viewer means he can only see. He cannot do any changes. After that, we have predefined roles. So predefined are little finer grained, and it is specific to like services only. Like like we can create a pub shop, like it is already predefined, it is already given created by Google, and it is available for us to use, like PubSub publisher role, PubSub like compute instant admin role, like there are many roles we will see. After that, a custom role. Suppose you have a specific condition, like you have to give minimum permissions or like multiple permissions combined, and you don't want, you are not finding a predefined role which contains all the permissions, then we can create a custom role also. So it will tailor the permission to our to the needs of your organization that predefined roles cannot meet. So this is let's see how the allow policy works. So suppose these are two bindings which we have created, like this is a service account and this for Google account, and which we have giving compute image user role, and this is a Google workspace account and Google group on which we are giving compute instance admin v1 rule. So this is the allow policy. So now we have option where we want to apply this policy. We have four options whether you can apply directly on that organization. So if we apply at the organization, what will happen? It will inheritance. It will apply to folder also. It will apply to project also, and it will apply to resource also. So it depends where you want to give the permission. So if you give at folder level, it will be inherited by project and resource. If you give only at the project level, so it will be inherited by resource, or you can directly give on the resource level. So suppose you want to give access to someone of a storage bucket. So if you give at the organization level, so he has access all the buckets which are present in the organization. But if you want to fine grain, you want, you can give even on the project level. So he has access of all the buckets which are present in the project level. But if you want to give only access to specific bucket, you can go on the specific resource like on the storage bucket and give permission on that specific storage bucket. So he can access that storage bucket only. So now let's go to our demo and see what are the options we have. So right now I am in my console and I am on my first project. So as you can see, I have only one user, admin. So also I have a second user. So if I go here, this is my second user, this is a test user, and he doesn't have any access as of now. So we'll start seeing how to give access and all that. So first of all, I'm back on my admin console. To give access to a user, you have to click on here, grant access. So you can click here, grant access. You can type the name of the user, like your principal. So let's copy the name first. So I will add like test at the my this is my principal. After that we have to choose the roles. So these are the basic roles which is provided by Google. So these are very broad permissions. So you have to make sure what we are doing. And so this is the editor role. So in this we can view, create, update, or delete most of the cloud resources, and we can see the list of included permissions. This is a browser role. It has access to browse GCP resources like your projects, your folders, your organization, but it cannot see anything else. You cannot see your resources, only your GCP hierarchy. After that, it says owner. This is the full permission. So make sure you don't give anyone this owner role until it requires. After that, viewer role, in which he can view most of the Google Cloud resources. So let's start with viewer role once. We will click on viewer and we will click on save. So we have just assigned a role to our user, which is a test account. Let's go back and let me refresh this page. So I have refreshed my page. So I have given the permission at my project level. So I cannot see anything at my organization level still. So let's go back and click on all and let's choose my first project. So as you can see now I'm able to see everything like, but I don't have still permission to create any VM. Let's go to storage and see whether I have the permission to see storage, my storage buckets. You can see I have the permission of seeing of storage bucket also. Now we have tested that first principle, like our user. Now let's do one more thing. Let's copy this cloud concepts for you. Let's now testing domain one. So we can provide domain permission also, like just copy this domain name and we can select a role, like we can give like compute engine admin role, like compute admin. So what will happen, this permission will assign to every user. So like if any user with this specific domain login into my Google account or in Google Cloud, so this specific permission will already be applied to him at this specific project. Let's save here and we can see this domain permission will specific compute admin will apply to all the users whoever logins to Google Cloud in this specific project only, not at every project. So let's go to our compute engine once again and just refresh this page. And we can see now we have the option of create a VM. Now I'm back into my cloud storage and you can see that I cannot click this create option. So now I have two options, whether I can give permission at the again at my project level, or I can just change this to my organization. So this is my organization and I can assign a role here also. So what will happen if I assign a role in this specific organization, it will be inherited to all that folders projects under it. So let's go and let's give storage admin. So I will choose this option to grant full control of buckets and objects and I will click on save. So now what will happen, this storage admin permission will automatically inherited to my project. So if I go to my project and I can see storage admin permissions. Even I click on this edit principal, I cannot remove this specific permission from my project because it is being inherited from organization level. So if I now go back to my buckets and refresh this page, I have the option to create a new bucket because I have provided that specific permissions required to create a bucket. You can see I have option to create a bucket, right? Like this we can create a bucket now. So we have seen like how we can provide permission to our user, to our domain, or add and on the organization level also. Now even we can create a group also if you want. So we can come here, click on group, and after that we can create a group, and with the help of group also we can assign permission. So we can say testing group testing, and we can say testing one, and you can give descriptions also, and after can add a member, and member in the member role we have manager and owner role. Owner we will see, I will create a video on this later on the group part, but as of now we will choose it as a member and we will click on save. So we can see our group has been created and this is the owner which I am, and this is my test account which is the member of this group. So let's copy this email address and let's go back to where I am at the project level, and we can assign him some more permission also. So let's go, first of all we will remove this permission. So if you want to remove this permission, you just click on this, you can remove access, so it will remove all the permissions from, or if you don't want to remove all the permission, just click on this pencil icon like this and you can go inside and remove specific permission which you want. Of now I have removed my computer admin permission. So let's see whether we can create a new VM or not now, or whether we have option to create it. So again, we don't have any permission to create a VM. So now what we will do, we will assign permission to our group instead of a specific user. So let's go here and just provide our testing one. This is our group name, and we can provide like compute admin, and we click on save. Let me refresh my page. So we can see now again I have a permission to create a VM. So this time we have not provided this permission to a user. Instead, we have provided to a group, and it will automatically defined or allowed all the users inside that specific group to create a VM. So we have seen multiple things in this demo. So one more thing I want to show you. Let's go to our storage once, and I want to show you how we can use all authenticated user and all user permission. So I will go into my bucket. So this is my first of all, I will to use this permission I have to make my bucket remove public access prevention so that I can make my objects publicly available. And if I go to my configuration part, and sorry, if I go to my objects and go to this specific object, and here I have to edit, click on edit access, and here from we can change to public, and from public we can choose two things: all authenticated user or all users. So first of all, let's click on all authenticated users and click on save. So we will get this authenticated URL. So let's copy this, and I will open my Chrome, and I will Edge, sorry, in private window, so that, and I will paste here. So you can see it is asking for my Gmail account to log in. So once I log in, I can authenticate this. And now I have option to, if I put this public URL, it will say like we have not access denied. So with the authenticated URL, all authenticated users. So first you have to first log in into this Google account and to access this. And now if we click on all users, so it will doesn't ask to log in or anything, it will just provide it access to this specific thing. So now if we click on public URL and just click on it, it will just, we can see it is providing this all that information which it is inside that specific file. So like that we can use authenticated and all users option. So it is not available to all the services, but it is so related to specific services which provide this functionality. So in this video, we have seen all the options, like how we can provide permission, grant access to specific resources. And so these are all our which roles we have seen are basic and predefined roles. And if you want to see what role have what permission, you can come here and click on that role option, and you can go and check any role, like if what you want to check, like if you want to check owner role, just click on owner, and it will, you can come out and see this owner role, and you can check out what permission it gives. Uh, so we can see it provides 9,555 permissions. So you can see how much broad it is. So always make sure what you are doing and why you're providing this permission to anyone. So it has access to, I think, all the resources available. And even we can create a custom role also. If so, you just click on this create role, and we can provide a like a name, what name, like we can say test role. After that, you can give a description so anyone understand why you have created this specific role. And after that, we can provide a custom ID, and this is the role, or like launch stage, you can like say alpha, for beta is still testing, for GA if it is available for general use, so we can even disable it. After that, we can come here and add permissions. So you can choose what permission you want to give to this specific role. So like if you want to give some specific storage permission, you can search for that, like storage permissions, like compute storage admin or like storage admin. You can click in OK, and it will filter out all the storage permissions based on that, and you can choose out that permissions. Like if you want this specific two permissions only, you can just click in and add these permissions, and these permission will be added, and we can click on removed, oh sorry, create. So it can telling this two permission will be added, and once the role has been created, we can assign this role to your users also. This is our test role. So now we can come here in the IAM, and We can click on our user here and click on edit principal, and we can add a role here. And now we have option of custom. From custom we can choose our test role, and we can save this, and it will be applied to our user. So like this we can do create custom role. So even if you create custom role at the organization level, it will be available to all that projects folders. So you can figure it out where you want to create a specific custom role. So this is a very basic demo which we have seen, like for the IAM, what options we have, what permissions we have, and about what we can do with this. And if you have any issue or doubts or anything you want to think like I've done wrong, just comment it down. I will try to figure it out. Thank you.